Join us every weeknight at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Intrepid radio program, a Scotty Roberts Productions broadcast.
Hey folks, welcome to the broadcast tonight. I am your host, Scotty Roberts. This is my show, The Intrepid radio program, right here on my YouTube channel. We are a podcast for the time being until we get back into the radio station. And you all know the story behind that. That's all I'm going to say about that. So until that happens, we are broadcasting solely on YouTube. Well, other than the other places you can pick up the show. Couple of Facebook channels over on my X account and also on my Instagram page. So if you're listening via any of those, welcome you over. Over on Instagram, I also pasted the chat room. If you want to come and join the chat room, you can do that. But you got to come over to, you can leave comments in Instagram. You can leave comments on X. You can leave comments on Facebook, but the only place that you're going to be able to interact with the chat room is going to be on my YouTube channel. So come on over there and do that. I'm going to take my glasses off for the moment. And we've got a guest coming in pretty soon here, and then we'll get the ball rolling on our topic for tonight. But how is everybody tonight? What you up to? I want to thank you all for coming in. I got to look at the comments channel here. I've got Field Guy over there so far. And you know what? I got to put my glasses back on. It's just the way it is right now, folks. We got Kalina. We got Michelle Kenham. Freedom is in the room. Good to see you, Michelle. Haven't seen you much in here. It's I know life is busy and raising kids is busy and everything going on. So it's good to see you here. And what have we got for tonight? We're going to talk about, this came up after we did Monday night's show. On Monday night, we, hey, Elderberry. Yourself, laddie. Elvis is in the building. Good to see you, Elvis. And so what we did on Monday, you remember, I had read a couple of stories. There was an old book. It's still sitting right here. Let me grab it so I can show you. This is a book, Irish Myth, Legend, and Folklore. It's a treasury of, by William Butler Yeats and Lady Gregory. Now, William Butler Yeats, you should know by now, listening to me on this show, yapping as much as I have over the last 20 years, that William Butler Yeats was the poet laureate of Ireland back at the turn of the 20th century, 100 years ago. And so he compiled this book, and he compiled all these stories of the Irish peasantry and poetry and poems and things like that. So, oh, thank you. I was trying to read what GTSY2, Scotty. Oh, good to see you too. Well, thank you, Michelle Kenham. Freedom. And so we read those stories, and then I read a bit from Tam O'Hare, some of the things where I said, look, these are the poems and the literature that inspired me when I was writing Tam O'Hare back in 1998. And I didn't finish it. It was finished in a very short period of time, but my agent submitted it to major publishers who said, your author needs to realize it one way or the other. It's too short for a chapter book, too long for a picture book. Have him do one or the other. So I combined both those ideas, and I expanded Tam O'Hare from, I think he was about 10,000 words to about 40,000 words, if I'm not mistaken. And a lot of what I put into Tam O'Hare came from all the reading and the literature and the Yeats poetry and all of that I had absorbed over the years. And so I read from Tam O'Hare a bit, just to give you an idea of some of the things where I had gleaned things out of the old stories. Now, I had somebody contact me, and y'all know him. He's from Ireland, and he was a little disappointed with some of the stories I read and maybe my presentation to a certain extent. because he said, that's not what Ireland is really like. And I said, well, I think Ireland is what I read were stories from the Irish peasantry from 100 to 200 years ago. I said, now, Ireland today is going to be different than it was 100 years ago. And so we got to talking, and I said, why don't you just come on the show on Wednesday? Let's talk about this. Yes, and it's Niall Parkinson. Many of you know who he is. And so Niall graciously accepted my offer to come in and talk about Ireland as he sees it, what he knows about it, his being Irish and what he knows about it. And so he'll be calling in probably in the next few minutes. He'll be in here with me and we'll get this going. Michelle says, I believe I have Irish ancestors. Might be past life memories didtionally. My daughter, when I was telling her what I was doing the show on tonight, my 12-year-old Rowan asked, she said, we're Irish, aren't we? And I said, well, if I have any Irish in me, it's very subdued. I said, I'm Welsh, so I'm close, so to speak. We're right across the ocean from Ireland, the Irish Sea, I should say, in between England and the island of Ireland. And I said, we're mostly Welsh, and we got a wee bit of Scot in there. And I found that I have Scandinavian in me, but I have no Scandinavian relatives or ancestors going back several generations. So my conclusion was I am probably have got the Scandinavian blood in me from Viking blood, Viking raiders. I'm sure as they raided and they settled in Great Britain that they intermingled with the people there and they all had offspring. And I think that's where at least my DNA says I have 16% or 17% Scandinavian blood in me, which I never knew until the last couple of years when we did that. Skull, Elvis. That's right. Vikings, says Kalina. Yeah, pretty much. Here we got Susie Q. Hello, you awesome people, she says. Flavor to you all. And what flavor tonight? Or is that just my blurry eyes making it look like there's an L in there? Good evening to you, Susie Q. And so once again, by the way, if anybody is gathering over in the Instagram channel, I do see there's somebody in there. I see Mrs. Lisa Duffy. Lisa, you can come over. I've got a link posted in there, which for some reason, once I posted it, it's not letting me do anything else in that channel. But there's a link. You can come over to the YouTube channel if you would like to join the chat room where everybody gathers. That's the best chat room for this show is over on the YouTube channel. And the Instagram is just an outlet where we can show the show. We can broadcast it, but you can leave comments. But if you want to converse with people in the chat room, come on over. And that's over. Just if you don't see the link there on Instagram, it is just, it's youtube.com/Scotty Roberts. And you can see the show that's playing live right now. That's the easiest way to do it without the link. Lisa Marie Stucci, am I in the YouTube? No, I'm on the Facebook. Yes, you're on the Facebook channel. I can see everybody from all the different outlets on my chat board, but nobody in the YouTube chat can see you. And you can't see them either. So come on over to the YouTube channel. And let's see, what else was I going to say? So while we're waiting on Niall to come in, we're going to talk about Ireland tonight from a perspective of somebody who lives there, somebody who sees it up close, probably has a little different take on some of the history of Ireland. His contention is that what we know about Ireland is a bit skewed by, I don't know what, culture, a bit skewed by our perceptions of Ireland. And so he wants to come in and we're going to talk about it. Why, thank you, Susie Q. She said I look sharp, folks. So my eyes, by the way, are still healing. I've got my glasses on. That's the only way I can read the computer right now. I can see it. I have to blow it up to read it. So they're getting better. You can see. Yeah. They're still swelled up in there. The doc told me last week, he said it'll probably be the end of October before you start to really look normal again. Normal, quote unquote. Lisa, you are here. I see you in the chat room. As a matter of fact, I can even put you up. Lisa says, am I here? Yes, you are. And so as you all know, Lisa, she is Rocky's sister. And she now lives like 2 minutes from our house over here in Somerset, Wisconsin. So welcome to the chat room, Lisa. It's good to see you here. Oops, I put you up again. There we go. So it's good to see you here. Glad to have you here tonight. And so once I did it again. I'm hitting a button. You know what? I've got this new keyboard, which I lamented the other about a month ago. It's this big. It's this huge, monstrous thing. And I've gone from having this little tiny Apple keyboard, just a little flat thing. It's elevated and it's got all these things on it. And every now and then, as I'm sitting with my hands alongside my keyboard while I talk, I'll hit an erase button or an escape button or an enter button with the side of my hand, not even knowing I did it. And I just did that when I put you up the third time in a row. So, your sister's Gina is in Dublin right now. I've got a friend who's in Dublin right now as well. He's made rare appearances on this show in the chat room. Jim Fitzsimmons. He and I worked together 30 years ago. We started working together. He's a fellow artist. And and he's got his own show as well. But he's in Ireland. He started sending me pictures the other day. He said, bet you can't guess where I am. And at first I wasn't sure. I didn't recognize the building he was standing in front of, but that's where he is. I wanted to also push one book, and I got to see where I put it. I wanted to make a nice mention of this book. I put up a picture the other day, and I thought it was, here, it's on my shelf. Hold on. There it is. I thought this was a very cool book. Now, you may have seen this advertised before. I put up a little thing because I bought it. This is Amy Bruni's book. Now, you can see my fingerprints on it reflected in the light. This is Amy Bruni. If you remember who Amy Bruni is, if you know who she is, for lack of a better way to describe her, she was the redhead on Ghost Hunters for, I think, the whole time they were in existence. Then she went, she did with Adam Berry, they did Kindred Spirits, that television show. And she's doing all kinds of things now. She's got a fantastic podcast. Well, she put this book together, Food to Die For. And it's recipes from America's most legendary haunted places. And I thought, what a unique book. That's kind of neat. And I started flipping through, and she's got stories of several locations where they've done investigations. And she's got recipes in this book from a lot of these places. And so it's really cool, like legendary potatoes. How appropriate for tonight. And that's a recipe that she has in here from, I got to put on my glasses to let you know. This particular recipe is from, it's probably here, the Lighthouse Inn in New London, Connecticut, which is there. It's a place she's investigated. So the whole book is full of this. So absinthe frappe, anyone? Anyone here ever had absinthe? It's the original Green Devil. Isn't that what they call a Heineken? And this is from the old Absinthe House, which is in New Orleans, right there. So the book is full of that. Well worth getting. It lists at $29. I think I got this for $14 or $16 through a special thing that comes through her website. And I've seen ads for it. So it's a good book and it's well worth getting. The Mark Twain House. I've seen a couple of shows that have investigated there, and she's got Delicate Lady Fingers from the Mark Twain House. So there you go. That's a little preview of her book. I want to get her on to talk about this and about her show and about other things that she's doing. She does some very exciting things. She's a good old friend, and we'll see if we can get her on one of these days. Right now, I want to get Niall on. I hope Niall makes it. Is it, somebody check the time zones? Is it 3 a.m. in Ireland right now? Because I believe they're 6 hours ahead of us. And it's now 9:18 here, which would say to me it's 3:18. I could check with Siri. Hey Siri, what time is it in Ireland right now? Hello, Siri. Hey Siri, what time is it in Ireland right now? It's popping up, but it's not. Siri, what time is it in Ireland? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's not working. So for some reason, yes, she says Lisa Marie. 3:20 a.m. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I gave him the right times on everything. Now, because it's the middle of the night there, who knows? Maybe he fell asleep. So if he did, you know what? We'll do other things. Yeah, I need to read my chat. I don't always read it because I'm staring here and talking, and the chat room's over here on the side. So, and I got to put my glasses on these days because of my eyes. I think Niall is MIA. Missing in action. He might be. We'll see if he makes it in tonight. Calling on Niall. And so if he doesn't, we got other things we can talk about and do, and we'll just start doing that right now. We'll just keep yapping. That's what I do. I talk. My wife says, "Boy, you talk a lot." And my kids say, "Boy, you talk a lot." And I say, "You know where I got that? Doing radio for 24 years because you got to talk all the time." And so you got to keep people entertained. You got to keep from having long blank spots. Like if I paused and went, just thinking of what I was going to say, that sounds like an eternity on air. But of course, now that we have cameras that we do them with as well, simulcasts, when we were just doing audio radio, you had a blank spot. I would pre-record my shows. I wouldn't always go live. And when I pre-recorded, I could go in and edit out big blank spots and stuff like that. So when John Ward and I were doing the Intrepid radio program back in, I think the last year we did it was 2013. That tells you how long ago. We started in 2013. And I think we ran for 3 years. That's what it was. And damn, I just got on here and I got an ad. You know, Randall, I've got to look at how I can reschedule the ads. I've got it set so YouTube chooses when to place the ads. And I think I got to redo that. I got to do it a different way. And I've got it set for, they've got conservative, heavy, or balanced. I've got it on balanced. So if you're seeing ads, it's just the way it's set up right now. Sorry about that. Pretty soon we'll turn off the ads and we start doing our own advertising. So selling ads for this. Let's see. Lisa Marie says, I was asking where we get a copy of that book. Of course, you can get it on Amazon. And it's full price. I think it's about $29, something like that. There is and I don't know who it is. I ordered it through a company that I see their ads popping up all the time on Facebook and YouTube. And I can't remember the name of it. And I don't know if it's something that Amy set up with this outfit, but they sell the price at quite a discount. So, if I can find it, I'll let you know. Because well, you know what? I might have it on here. Because I ordered it on my phone just for you guys. I'll tell you where you can find this. You can find it on, if I look over to my PayPal, I should be able to tell you where it is. Let's see when I made that purchase of this book. Blank airtime. Let's see. Show all. Hold on. I'll see if I can get it for you. First National, Amazon. That wasn't it. Royal Buffet for Chinese, BP for gas, Epidemic, HarperCollins. That's not it. That can't be it. Because it's too much money. I didn't pay that much for the book. Oh, I think it's more than that. That is it. I paid $25 for the book, and it says HarperCollins, but that's not the name it gave on the ad. So I'm not sure what it is. It actually says HarperCollins Christian Publishing. But yeah, this is it. Food to Die For. HarperCollins Publishing. So I don't know. It's got a different name. If I see it, I'll post it again. But you can look for it. I think the book was more expensive than that. That's $29.99. So I got $4 off, I guess. I thought I got more off. So there you go. So sorry, Lisa, I don't have the exact name where I got it. It's only a $4 or $5 difference. So you could probably, I don't know if you can find it on Audible. Monica, I got to tell you, for a recipe book, I probably would not go to Audible to find a recipe book because you want to look at the recipe. And I like recipe books that are full of pictures. I like a good looking, put together recipe book that kind of looks like that. You're not going to get that on Audible. It's another potato recipe. Tavern sweet potatoes. That's at the King's Arm Tavern in Williamsburg, Virginia. Any of you ever been to Williamsburg, Colonial Williamsburg? I love Williamsburg. I went there when I was in high school. Back in, what year were we there? I think we were there in 1976 when I was a sophomore in high school. Might have been my junior year, but I might be mistaken in my memory on that one. Might have been my senior year, come to think of it. I don't know. But we took a trip with the church, with the youth group every year. And we went and just on a bus and went to all these different places around the country. And Williamsburg was one of the stops. And I was fascinated with Colonial Williamsburg because you can go, there's the whole town within the town that is set up as it was when, well, the College of William and Mary is there. You can see the old House of Burgesses. You can see they do reenactments there all the time. And it's the whole town is set up as a colonial site. And it's part of the what they call the historical triangle, where you can go to Colonial Williamsburg, and then you go to Yorktown, where the surrender of the British, Lord Cornwallis, at the end of the American Revolution happened at Yorktown. And then you can also go to Jamestown. There's that triangle in historic triangle, they call it. There's tours that you can get to go on that historic triangle. I'm trying to see if we can do that with the family one of these years, next year maybe, if all goes well. 4 commercials. Now, you've had 4 commercials already, Kalina? That's the conservative commercial schedule? Wow. Yeah, I'm going to change that. I'm going to end up changing that. I can't change it mid-show. Now, does it cut me off? Does it come back where I'm talking live? It must, because you're responding to me in the chat room. So it actually, you miss part of the show watching their inserted ads. That's not very cool. I don't know. They don't pay me enough money for you to have had 4 ads in a half an hour's time. since this show started. It cuts off the show. Well, I'll have to look into that. It kind of disrupts things, says Susie Q, when it's so many. Yes, some of them got you cut off. Yeah, I'm going to have to change that. And the only way I can do it, I don't even know if I can edit it right now. I can't because I'm on air. So I promise you before the next show, I'll have something adjusted on that. And this is, by the way, it's on the conservative setting, meaning, or balanced, the balanced setting, meaning it's balancing out between conservative and heavy-handed ads. So if you're getting 4, I'd hate to see what it was if it was the overbalanced ads. Had 8 by now, maybe. Yeah, you lose the rhythm. Sorry. And about the only thing, I'm going to look at this while we're talking. Let me just look at this and see if it actually allows me to do this for a show that's already playing. I don't think it does. Let's see. Nope, I can't edit it while I'm live. So we'll take care of it for next time. Sorry if that's disruptive for anybody. I don't like that. If they're going to do ads, they should at least announce you have an ad coming up in 10 seconds. And then I could say, stay tuned, folks. We're going to have an ad now. So I found the book on Foyer. Foyer, that's the name of the place. It routes it through Harper, the name of the publisher I mentioned. Harper something or other. It's a big publisher. So yeah, that's where I bought it from. Was off of there. What's it charging on? Yeah, $17.99. See, that's what I thought I paid. Oh, it was $25.99 with the shipping. I'm pretty sure. So it was $17.99. That's what I paid for the book. HarperCollins. Boy, how could HarperCollins slip from my mind? So here, I got to take a little sip of something. A little dry. All right. So it looks like Niall might not be here tonight, or if he comes in, he's going to be coming in sometime in a weird spot. So we will just move on without him until if he actually gets here. Now, I think he's said this in public before. Niall is not well. I don't know if you all knew that. Niall has MS, and it treats him kind of poorly some days, and so he might not be well today. I haven't heard from him all day, so but I did send him the link. Alice Wanders says, have you considered having a membership page? You can stop ads altogether and generate more revenue. Alice, I'm going to tell you something. I do have a membership page here. If you look below the window here, if I'm not mistaken, you'll see a little join button. And you can join this channel. And I'm not admonishing anybody or crying in my soup, but like with all things I do where it involves people donating to the show or to a book or to something that's going on, it just doesn't happen. When we did Intrepid magazine, back when I left Taps Paramag as the editor-in-chief and launched Intrepid magazine back in 2011, I must have had 1,000 people say, hey, we'll subscribe to that magazine. And within a couple of weeks, as we put up all the links, okay, we're up and running now. Here's where you can go to subscribe. We got a total over 6 months of 12 subscriptions. And we grew a few more after that, but that's what we got. And I think there's so many things to buy online, so many subscriptions, so many channels to join. Everybody I listen to online, I can listen to them for free, or I can join their channel. I've got 3, I think, channels that I listen to via YouTube that I donate to. I donate $5, the minimum. I also have, Alice, since you're asking, I have a Patreon page. You can go to Patreon, and I started broadcasting over there, but they did not have the same kind of chat room that we have here. It wasn't very interactive. You could just leave comments. And then I, as the host, I'd have to refresh the page to see if there are any new comments while I'm doing the live show. If you would like, you can donate here. You can do a super chat, it's called, and you can donate to the show. And you can also go to Patreon and you can donate. It's a minimum of $4 a month over there. And then whatever else you want to do. I think we've got 10 to 12 paying members over there. That was over a year ago we put that up. The ad I put up for it was saying, for the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, you can support this show and get 30 shows a month. Now, of course, that's when I was doing this show every night of the week except Saturday. And so we've cut that back a little bit just for scheduling. I do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we do Sunday morning, which is the unofficial show. So you can go over to Patreon. You'll see an ad when we cut over to the captain's cabin telling about the Patreon channel. So if all of my faithful listeners joined this channel and bought a membership for a minimum, I think the lowest membership here is 99 cents a month. And it goes up to, I think we have a $5 a month, and then I think we have a $15 a month membership. And we've only got a handful of those. So if you listen to the show and you like the show and can afford it, go on over and join. Otherwise, you can donate as you want to. We have Leslie Holker, who is a big supporter of this show. She's done a lot outside the show just to support what we do here over the last couple of years. She also every now and then does a super chat, and it shows up right in the chat room. $50. Scott Allen has donated a couple of times, and a couple of other people have as well. That's always helpful. I would love if this show were self-supporting. That would be nice. Then it wouldn't be, something I have to do at the end of the day. I could donate more of my time to it. And of course, we want to do other things. We want to do some YouTube television, and it's just not possible at the moment. So the more we build up this channel with followers and with people who can join and help support it, same with the Patreon, the more we can do. So I'll leave that at that. I didn't want to be a big advertisement, but there, Alice, that's what happens on this stuff. I see a lot of people that are excited about what we do here with the magazine, with sometimes I've put up a couple of Kickstarters for books, for tarot decks that I'm creating, things like that. And we just never quite get enough to make some of those things happen. So I either don't know how to market myself very well, having been in marketing my whole life, or there's just too much for people's money that are going everywhere else. And then the economy sucks on top of it. So there you go. But thank you for asking that question, Alice. And I gave you a 5-minute long plus answer on that. And I appreciate the query on that. Over in Instagram, I see James McMichael has joined. James, how you doing, sir? If you're still there. It says 0 people are there, but it shows that the people are there. Loveland joined, and of course, Mrs. Lisa Duffy. And if you all want to come on over to the chat room, and you can join us over here if you want to talk on the chat room. So, what else have we got? It seems like I always have a million things to talk about until you're sitting here and you go, okay, I'm out of stuff all of a sudden, or a guest didn't show up or whatever. I got to fill in the gaps. Happy birthday. I'm seeing for Monica. Happy birthday to you. Good to have you here. Sean, good to see you as well. I didn't see it come in, but that's just my eyes. Damn my eyes. Too late. What's that from? Anybody know what movie? Classic movie that's from? Damn your eyes. Too late. So if you know what that's from, I'll commend you. One of my favorite movies in my top 10 favorite list. It came out in the early 70s, early to mid 70s. A Mel Brooks movie. There's your hint. So, and the actor, of course, was the actors in that scene, Gene Wilder and Marty Feldman. So, Young Frankenstein, there it is, Susie Q. One of my favorite all-time movies. So, and Terry Garr, was she hot in that or was she hot? Terry Garr, the first time I ever saw her was as a young kid watching the original Star Trek. She was in the episode Assignment Earth with Gary Seven. Do you remember that? Spock and Kirk had to go back in time to the 60s, a missile launch, and they encountered this guy who is from another world and a traveler type of a character. And Terry Garr was his young kind of hippie assistant that he hired that doesn't know anything about what he does. Hot, 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 says Randall Flagg. Yep, she certainly was. And Young Frankenstein, roll, roll, roll in the hay. Terry Garr, the now late Terry Garr, sad to say. But I think most people in that movie are now gone. There was Gene Wilder has passed on. Terry Garr. Joe Boyle was his last name. He was also played the dad on that show with the comedian, Raymond, Finding Raymond, something about All About Raymond or something like that. He was the dad in that show. He played the monster, and he's passed on. And Cloris Leachman, who played Frau Brucher. Listen for the horses. She's gone. And everybody loves Raymond. There it is. And let's see who else was in that smaller roles. You had Gene Hackman was in it as the blind hermit in the cottage that lit the monster's finger on fire. So I think Gene is gone too, if I'm not mistaken, a long time ago. I might be wrong about that one because I don't have a strict memory on it. High Anxiety was good. Mel Brooks always did great movies. He was funny. I thought Young Frankenstein was one of his best. I told you all I was listening. I've got Audible, which came up tonight. And Audible, I don't like to listen to books. I can't just sit still and go, I'm going to listen to a book now. I like to read books. But when I'm working on illustrations or designing, I will play Audible books. And I don't listen to fiction on Audible. I have a lot of other books that I listen to, biographies, history, things like that. And my library is pretty, I actually have it open here. And I talked about the one I just finished listening to, Anything You Can Imagine, Peter Jackson and the Making of Middle-earth. And that's by Ian Nathan. And Andy Serkis, who played Gollum, did the foreword for that book. And it's a really good book. It really goes into the definitive Peter Jackson and how he made this movie and the difficulties they had actually coming up to making the movies. Folks, if you've read the book, Gene died about 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, Sean. I remember when he passed. It was pretty sad. It was all over the internet and stuff. Who died in 2004? Orson Welles. Yes. Gene Wilder didn't die in 2004, did he? Or am I thinking wrong? Gene is 94. Now, is this a Mandela effect? Because I distinctly remember him passing away. Hold on. Gene Wilder, death. Let's see. August 29th, 2016, Gene Wilder died at 83 years old in Stamford, Connecticut. He was born in 1933 in Milwaukee, and he died in 2016 in August. That's what it says here. And his son, he's got a son who's not listed. It says children, Catherine Wilder. He's got a son who was in a series, and it's the only place I ever saw him, and he's been in some other things. But when you think about it, he looks just like him. His son, in his 20s, was in the show with, God, I don't even know the names of the actors. It was an HBO show or something like that called Notorious. Was that it? Or Scandalous? Something like that. And I can't think of the guy's name, the dad in that show. Oh, Gene Hackman died in 2004. Yes, that was it. Sorry, we got our genes mixed up. Yeah, Gene Hackman died in 2004. I knew it was a while back. But Gene Hackman, what now? We're getting conflicting information. Gene Hackman is alive, says Randall. Wikipedia, says Susie, says Gene Hackman died in 2004. Oh, now there's ads, says Sean Stroik. Sorry about that, brother. I could look up Gene Hackman. We could find out, is he alive or is he dead? Taking odds. Gene Hackman. It says he's 94 years old. That he was born in 1930 and he's still alive at 94. How about that? So somebody's telling somebody you're getting information that he died in 2004. That's interesting. You know, it's all this Mandela effect stuff, which we should talk about on the show one of these days. I don't know enough about it to go impromptu about it, other than just to say the Mandela effect is when it's almost like the entire public consciousness remembers something one way, and then you find out it's something totally different. You know, things like Fruit of the Loom was one of them, having a cornucopia on the logo, the bunches of fruit with the cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom logo. Well, now they're saying Fruit of the Loom's come out and said, we've never had a cornucopia on our logo, ever. I remember it, but you go look it up, you can't find it. So there's stuff like that. Field guy knows my former identity is dead. Oh, Roger Rabbit. Yeah. That's kind of weird. Fruit of the Loom is lying. I remember that. I do too, Roger. But this is like, where did the name Mandela effect come from? It came from Nelson Mandela. Because everybody, the whole world, knew that he had died in prison. Then the next thing you know, he's being released from prison several years later. And they call it the Mandela effect, when public consciousness, not just individuals, public consciousness remembers things one way, but it ends up being different. The Mandela effect is a term used to describe when a large group of people share a false memory. Paranormal researcher Fiona, let's see, now I got to put my glasses back. I can't read her name. Broom. Fiona Broom coined the term after she remembered vividly that Nelson Mandela had died in prison in the 1980s. I remembered that. Despite Mandela actually dying in 2013. He got out of prison. He became the president of South Africa, prime minister, whatever he was. Broom speculated the Mandela effect could be evidence of parallel realities, the string theory of parallel universes that sometimes overlap. Here, as long as we're here doing this, let's take a look at this, shall we? Let's talk about it for a second. I've got something up in front of me because I don't know this stuff off the top of my head about the Mandela effect. And I've got 20 samples. So here you go. The Mandela effect, how masses of people can have the same false memory. Now, is that just because we've all heard information? It gets spread around through the grapevine? Is it Sex and the City or Sex in the City, the television show? That's their subtitle. So, here we go. You know that creepy phenomenon, it says, where some people remember historic events differently than others? Like when people thought the classic kids' book was called The Berenstain Bears instead of its actual title, The Berenstain Bears. Not Steen, Stain. Yep, this weird event is called the Mandela effect. I remember that one being talked about. Sex where? Field guy asks. Not in your apartment. Field guy, the 40-something-year-old virgin. So basically, the Mandela effect refers to a situation in which a large mass of people believe an event occurred when it did not. Have you run into that at all, anybody? The term originated around 2009 by Fiona Broom, after she discovered that she, along with a number of others, believed that Nelson Mandela had died in the 1980s, when actually he died in 2013. And I remember hearing it in the news that he had died in the 80s. Is that my brain playing tricks on me? Where does the Mandela effect come from, and why do these strange perceptions of history keep happening? We have the answers to all your questions, plus famous examples of the Mandela effect. Now, the origins are this. The term Mandela effect was first coined, as we said, twice now, in 2009 by Fiona Broom, when she created a website to detail her observance of a phenomenon. And it was at a conference talking with other people about how she remembered the tragedy of former South African President Nelson Mandela's death in a South African prison in the 1980s. However, Nelson Mandela did not die in the 1980s in a prison. He passed away in 2013. And as Broom began to talk to other people about her memories, she learned that she wasn't alone. And others remembered seeing the news coverage of his death. Wait, what was that song and when did it come out? Somebody look this up for me. Ladysmith Black Mombasa. Was it a Paul Simon song that they accompanied him, or was it Ladysmith Black Mombasa that sang the song about Nelson? Bring back Nelson Mandela. Bring him back home to Soweto. Want to see him walking hand in hand with Winnie Mandela. Together. A famous black African group. So when did that song come out? Were they talking about him coming back to life? Were they talking about him coming out of prison? I don't know. But Broom was shocked that such a large mass of people could remember the same identical event in such detail when it never actually happened. Encouraged by her book publisher, began her website to discuss what she called the Mandela effect and other incidents like it. Now, here's some notable examples of the Mandela effect. The story of Nelson Mandela is not the only example of this kind of false group memory. And as the concept of the Mandela effect grew along with Broom's website, other group false memories began to emerge. I got to keep looking to make sure Niall's not popping in. Henry VIII eating a turkey leg. People had a memory that the above portrait of Henry VIII, it's got the famous portrait of him where he's standing like this, looking like Uncle Dave, featured him eating or holding a turkey leg, although no such painting has ever existed. There have, however, been similar cartoons created, and this may be related to the common knowledge of Henry VIII as a large man. And wasn't there a movie where old movie star Charles Lawton played Henry VIII, and he was eating a turkey leg? I remember that. Maybe that's where that memory comes from. Let's see. Kalina says, check FB Messenger, pic of cornucopia. I've seen pics of it too. I saw that just the other day when they mentioned the Mandela effect, and they showed pictures of both. But then Fruit of the Loom says they never had one. I thought they always had one. So I'll check that out. How about Darth Vader? Luke, I am your father. And if you saw Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, that's actually it is Episode 5. Empire Strikes Back, Darth Vader utters the famous line, Luke, I am your father. You might be surprised to learn that the line was actually in the movie, No, I am your father. Most people have memories of the line being the former rather than the latter. It's kind of like, I don't see that as Mandela. I see that as the way the line gets quoted out there and everybody picks it up. How about mirror, mirror on the wall? The Queen says, magic mirror on the wall, who's the fairest one of all? So if you watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the original animated film, came out in the 30s, you probably remember the line, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? As you can see from the above subtitled screenshot, which you can't see, the line actually began with the phrase, magic mirror on the wall. Instead, it probably doesn't help matters that Julia Roberts and Lily Collins starred in a 2012 live-action film based on the Snow White called Mirror, Mirror. I always remembered it as Mirror, Mirror. I might be wrong. So how about the Oscar Mayer company? Is it Oscar Mayer, Meyer, or Oscar Mayer, Mayer? I just sang that to my kids the other day. My baloney has the first name. It's Oscar. My baloney has the second name. It's Mayer. Were we mishearing it in those commercials that came out in like the 70s and every year since? Oscar Mayer, is it spelled with an E or an A? There's some controversy over the spelling. Mayer, Mayer, or Meyer, Meyer, is the correct spelling. And to be fair, the brand pronunciation is closer match for the Meyer spelling, while Mayer is often pronounced differently, as in the musician John Mayer's name. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, how about this? How about the location of New Zealand? Anybody know where it is? Go look it up on Google Earth. Where is New Zealand in relation to Australia? If you look at a map, you'll see that it's southeast of the country. However, there's a community of people who claim to remember New Zealand being northeast instead of southeast. You know, I just looked that up the other day on Google Earth because I was listening to this book on Peter Jackson filming Lord of the Rings, and New Zealand was in the upper northeast of Australia. What in the hail? Hold on a second. Let's see what's going on here. I'm going to look up Google Earth. Let's just get to the bottom of this one right now. Let's see. And the reason I looked it up was I wanted to see where the Shire was, Hobbiton, which is an attraction you can go see in Drive Project, open from Drive, blah, blah, blah. What is this? This is running a list of projects. Okay, I just want to look it up. Where is New Zealand? Let's see where it is. It is according to Google Maps, New Zealand is to the southeast I saw a map the other day that was showing it in the south, in the northeast. I swear to God. So I thought, oh, it's right off the northeast tip, and it was at an angle up. Yes, when I still lived with my parents, I did the laundry. Dad's shirts had the cornucopia. Well, there you go. Yeah, I remember the cornucopia. So I don't know where I was looking the other day, but I saw New Zealand as being northeast of Australia. Okay. Well, there's that. Let's see. Let's go back to this article. And see, this is why I hate bifocals. I got to sit like this, or I got to hold them up. All right. How about the Berenstein Bears? It's Berenstain Bears, and there's a picture of an original book of theirs. But everybody says it's Berenstein Bears, similar to the Oscar Mayer issue. What about Shazam, starring Sinbad? Now, that's another one. Sinbad supposedly died. Is he alive or dead? The comedian Sinbad. I remember him dying, and then I saw him alive after that. One of the most well-known examples of Mandela effect is the collective memory of a movie called Shazam that starred actor-comedian Sinbad in the 1990s. In fact, no such movie exists. Although there was a children's movie called Kazam starring Shaquille O'Neal. And some other coincidences that could help us explain how this movie became created or remembered in many people's minds. So that's interesting, huh? I do remember Sinbad dying. Somebody look that up. Sinbad, the comedian, is he still alive or is he dead? Oh, I'm thinking of Old Zealand. This is Rhino Flag. There it is. I knew there was a... Shaq was a genie in Kazam, wasn't he? Yeah. So let's see. Moving on. Let's see where we are here. I hate wearing these when I'm trying to... I get a crick in my neck going like that. I'm going to get a pair of glasses made as soon as my eyes are all healed up that have just my bifocal in them and nothing else. Let's see. What is the Mandela effect? There it is. How about Pikachu's black-tipped tail? Many people report that Pikachu, a Pokemon character, the yellow one, is having a black-tipped tail. In reality, the character has always had just a solid yellow tail. False memory. How about Mickey Mouse's suspenders? Mickey Mouse might be the most famous cartoon character in the world, but even Disney's famous mouse is often misremembered in the minds of fans. People often report the character wearing suspenders when he does not. The original Mickey is wearing shorts with two big white buttons at the top, but is completely unclothed on the top half of his body. Scandalous. How about Sally Field's famous Oscar speech? When Sally Field won an Oscar in 1985, her acceptance speech included the oft-repeated, oft-parodied line, "You like me, you really like me." Now, I remember that. Except that she actually said was, "I can't deny the fact that you like me right now. You like me." See, a lot of these, I can't attribute most anything we've talked about so far as being a Mandela effect. I see it as being just false memories from things that have been repeated over and over and over again by people. How about Looney Tunes? No, really, it's not Looney Tunes. Yes, the Looney Tunes are in fact cartoons, not cartoons, Tunes. And yes, you may remember watching the next generation of characters on a TV show called Tiny Toon, Toon Adventures. Nevertheless, the original show was Looney Tunes, Tunes, not Toons, as a companion to Merry Melodies. How about Jif peanut butter? Jiffy. Do you all remember Jiffy peanut butter? I remember Jiffy. But there's Jiffy Lube, there's Jiffy Pop popcorn, there's Skippy peanut butter, And you may be able to whip up a PB&D and J in a Jiffy, but no, there is no such thing as Jiffy peanut butter. It is and has always been Jif, J-I-F, though many people would swear to the contrary. See, probably just faulty memory on my part. How about Curious George's Tale? How many of you read or had read to you Curious George books when you were a kid? The Little Monkey, the Yellow Books, The Man in the Yellow Hat. Well, this one is curious. The assumption is that George, Curious George, is a monkey, and most monkeys are understood to have tails. Many remember Curious George having a tail, but alas, everyone's favorite curious primate is in fact tailless. And hopefully that's not causing anybody any existential crises. Why would a monkey have a tail? Why, to wrap around a branch and climb a tree. So evolutionists will tell you that the little knob at the end of our tailbone is the remnant of our evolutionarily discarded tail. That's why it's called the tailbone. How about that? What the heck is a Fruit Loop? F-R-O-O-T-L-O-O-P. Fruit Loops. Now, I've always remembered it as being misspelled like that. You can thank Kellogg's for the weird spelling. While the very well-known cereal is supposed to be fruit flavored, they decided to lean into the loops, L-O-O-P-S, and double up on the double O's, opting for Fruit Loops instead of full Fruit Loops, F-R-U-I-T. It's always been Fruit Loops, as far as I know. Now, how about here's the Fruit of the Loom thing. You may not be able to identify every piece of fruit in the logo for the clothing brand Fruit of the Loom, but everybody at least knows there was a cornucopia behind the fruit, right? Wrong. Just ask the company itself. There is no cornucopia, even if we all remember it. But as Kalina just proved, there are pictures of it out there. Are they pictures that are actually from the company, or are they manufactured pictures? Who don't know? C3PO's leg is what? C3PO, the famed Star Wars droid, has a silver right leg. But we won't blame you for getting this one wrong, given the lower resolution of older films, the character often being shot from the waist up, and the fact that the original line of toys featured an all-gold C3PO. It's no surprise how surprising it is to discover that he had a silver leg all along. But you know what they do have? In the newer movies, with the young boy Anakin Skywalker, they had this came out. This is Flynn's, and it ended up on my shelf for some reason. But in the Phantom Menace, C-3PO had a red arm. But that's one of the newer films, and they did that to show he was still under construction. And the action figure proves it. There you go. C-3PO, silver leg. Oh, Aragorn fell over. So, how about Play It Again, Sam? Or not? Casablanca. There's another one of the films that's in my top 10. Is one of the most famous films of all time and the most quoted films of all time. And while many decades later, more and more people have not seen it, what is nonetheless known as the famous line, "Play it again, Sam." Unfortunately, if you're familiar with that line, you may be confused to learn that it was never actually said that exact way in the film. Ingrid Bergman's character does, however, say, "Play it once, Sam." And adding the confusion may be that a Woody Allen film made in 1972 called Play It Again, Sam, about a film critic obsessed with Casablanca. Now, I also remember Humphrey Bogart in that film said to Sam, he said, "You played it for her, you can play it for me. Now play it." As time goes by. Kalina says, The Quiet Man is another good one. Another good one, what? What are we missing on The Quiet Man? Let's see. How about Mr. Rogers? It's a Beautiful Day where? Hollywood contributed to the Mandela effect when the 2019 Mr. Rogers biopic named A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, a reference to the opening line of the famous song that opened every episode of Fred Rogers' show. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. In reality, however, the song opens with the line, it's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. I don't remember that. I only remember the neighborhood. This is clunky. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood. Yeah, you got to pause. You got to roll your tongue differently. It was the neighborhood. Boom. John Wayne. What about John Wayne? The Quiet Man is another good one. Humphrey Bogart. It was never Humphrey Bogart. It's always been John Wayne. I've known that movie since I was a kid. That is also in my top 10. The Quiet Man, one of my favorite movies of all time. Always been John Wayne. John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara. And that started several films that they did together. And she really loved him. And I think that came out of that. How about Mr. Monopoly's monocle? He's always had a monocle that I can remember. Rich Uncle Pennybags, a.k.a. Mr. Monopoly, sure seems like the type to wear a monocle, but in reality, the leading man of the board game everyone has played, but nobody has ever finished, can just see fine without a monocle. The leading theories are that we mistake him for the monocled Mr. Peanut. No, 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 no. He's always had a monocle. Why is that? So here's some explanations for the Mandela effect. False memories. A more likely explanation for the Mandela effect involves false memories. Before we consider what is meant by false memories, let's look at an example of the Mandela effect, as it will help us to understand how memory can be faulty. Who was Alexander Hamilton? Most Americans learn in school that he was a founding father of the United States of America, but that he was not a president. However, when asked about the presidents of the United States, many people mistakenly believe Hamilton was a president. Why? Because he's on money. But so is Ben Franklin. He was never a president. If we consider a simple neuroscience explanation, the memory for Alexander Hamilton is encoded in an area of the brain where the memories for the presidents of the United States are stored. I didn't know I had a part of my brain that stored that memory. The means by which memory traces are stored is called the engram, and the framework in which similar memories are associated with each other is called the schema. So when people try to recall Hamilton, this sets off the neurons in close connection to each other, bringing with it the memory of presidents. Well, this is an oversimplified explanation. It illustrates a general purpose. So when memories are recalled rather than remembered perfectly, they're influenced to the point that they can eventually become incorrect. And in this way, memory is unreliable and not infallible. I remember things wrong sometimes, believe it or not. Rio Grande and She Wore a Yellow Ribbon, both John Wayne. Let's see. Here's a nice stick to beat the lovely lady. What was it? He said, would you please, what was it? Something about Michelino Flynn, the little old matchmaker. He said something, would you be pleased to not hit her until she's your wife and you can do it proper. Something like that. I got the line all. Confabulation is another reason. Confabulation involves your brain filling in gaps that are missing in your memories to make sense of them. This isn't lying, but rather remembering details that never happened. Confabulation tends to increase with age. How about, it's like Joe Biden going to lunch with Joe Stalin. Misleading past event information. Information that you learn after an event can change your memory of an event. And this includes every subtle information. This includes event subtle information. and helps to explain why eyewitness testimony can be unreliable, and even in court. How about priming? Priming describes the factors leading up to an event that affect our perception of it. Also called suggestibility or presupposition. Priming is the difference between asking how short a person is versus how tall a person is. Saying, "Did you see the black cat?" instead of "a black car," makes a subtle suggestion that influences response and memory. In essence, memories are vulnerable bits of information stored in the brain that can be changed over time. And while we assume that our memories are accurate, this isn't always necessarily the case, as my wife reminds me all the time. How about alternate realities? One theory for the basis of the Mandela effect originates from quantum physics and relates to the idea that rather than one timeline of events, alternate realities or universes may be taking place and mixing with our timeline. In theory, this would result in groups of people having the same memories because the timeline has been altered as we shift between those different realities. You aren't alone if you think this sounds unrealistic. Unfortunately, the idea of alternate realities is unfalsifiable, meaning there's no way to disprove that these other universes don't really exist. And this is why such a far-fetched theory continues to gain traction among among the Mandela effect communities. You can't prove it; it's not real, so you can't discount the possibility of it. And so, for many people, the excitement of a bit of mystery in everyday life also likely comes into play. So, the notion of alternate realities might appeal due to its air of mystery. That's what they're contending here. Many examples of the Mandela effect are likely due to some type of collective misremembering. Incorrectly recalling misinformation or information is in fact quite common. One study found that 76% of people made some type of mistake when asked to recall information. And then, of course, there's the impact of the internet. And I'm not even going to go into that. It's big, long, and tedious. So, what do you think? Mandela effect? Is it alternate universes, alternate realities, or is it something completely different? So, what are some of your comments here? What were you saying about John Wayne and his movies? Let's see. John Wayne. Sounds like something someone would say to Sinatra. Aw, says Monica. O'Hara, now in the movie The Quiet Man. Or in the movie The Quiet Man. I love The Quiet Man. If you've never seen that movie, it's an old movie, but you got to watch it. It's so worth watching. Now, very different is the book. I have the book, The Quiet Man, and it's in a paperback. It's only about that thick. It's about a quarter of an inch thick. It's a short story where the character of Sean Thornton, played by John Wayne, is a minor character in the book, believe it or not. So, filmed in Ireland. Yes, it was. There are such classic scenes in that movie. It's just a short stretch of the legs, says JP. That's right. Such great lines in that movie. Great scenes. If you haven't seen it, you got to. County Mayo was where it was filmed. The town of Kong. C-O-N-G, by the way. It's a beautiful movie. Yes, Susie Q, it certainly is. So, it's near Ashford Castle. Who bought, do you remember, Jason or anybody? The little cottage was a set, of course, but there was also an exterior view. They used a real cottage, the cottage White on Morn, where Sean Thornton was supposed to have been born, and he buys it in the movie. Who actually, there was an actor that bought that cottage. Do you remember who that was? That little stone whitewashed cottage with the green door? It was none other than Gabriel Byrne bought that cottage 30 years ago or more. And now recently I'd heard that it burned down. How a stone cottage burns down is beyond me. It's all the other things around it, I think. It's now gone. I think it's been demolished, which is sad. Somebody was writing about it, but you can still go there. The little creek is still right there. And what a wonderful place. So Gabriel Byrne bought that. The actor Gabriel Byrne. You've seen him in many things. Always liked him. I always wanted, there was a time when Tam O'Hare, when I was first writing it, that I wanted to get a famous Irish actor to read the book for an audio. And we had made some inroads into contacting Gabriel Byrne and wanted him to read it. And then, of course, Liam Neeson came up after that, but we never got anywhere with that. It never went that far. So, Danaher's house. Danaher is in Ashford Castle in the grounds. Visited there as well. Oh, nice. I'd like to visit those places. Did you ever get to White on Mourne, Jason? I can't remember the name of the actual cottage, which is now not there anymore. Sadly, it was just this last year. I think it burned down or fell down or something. White on Mourne. Let's see. White on Mourne is the name of the ancestral college in the 1951 John Ford film The Quiet Man. The original cottage is in ruins, but there are a few places that commemorate the cottage in the film. And that's, you can go to the Quiet Man Museum in Cong, County Mayo, Ireland. In the museum is an exact replica of White on Mourne, the interior and the exterior. The museum includes a replica of the ground floor of the cottage, as well as furnishings, artifacts, and costumes from the film. See, I'd like to see that. I'd just like to see that. You know, one of the cool things I saw when I was working back in the early 80s, 1984, I was working in Lynchburg, Virginia, as an artist for a big print shop down there. And more than a print shop, a marketing company. Yes, JP, I just mentioned that. We might have a little lag from what JP's hearing. So I went we lived in Lynchburg, which was 3.5 hours drive to Washington, D.C. And I used to have to go up to D.C. all the time to visit clients, and at least once a week. And one week they had in 1984, they had the sets from the TV series MASH set up at the Smithsonian. And I just had to go see that. And I went up and I was on business. So I only took like a half an hour. I went in and I saw the sets. They had them all set up, the tents and everything from the series MASH. And it was pretty cool. The town didn't have electricity when they were filming. I didn't know that. They got electricity and found out they had to pay for it, and they voted to shut it down. Shut it down! That's funny. So, White on Mourne is gone. But you can go look it up. White on Mourne, or White o' Mourne, O''Mourne. And you can see the cottage as it once stood. And there's a picture of it here in ruins too, which is sad. But the long road back to White o' Mourne Cottage. There it is in ruins. What was this? Maureen O'Hara's death focuses minds over Quiet Man Cottage, the Irish Times said. Oh, that's a while back when she passed. Well, not too long ago, come to think of it. But I used to think, and I probably still do to a certain extent, that Maureen O'Hara was one of the most beautiful women in the old movies. And flaming red hair. Gorgeous figure. Beautiful face. Let's see. The famous scene. You remember the famous scene in the door? She's cleaning the cottage when he comes to it, and they haven't really met each other yet. And she tries to sneak out, and she opens the door. The door flies open in the wind, and he grabs her by the hand and whips her back into the cottage and gives her a kiss. What a famous scene that is. So, like I say, if you've never watched it, you got to see it. See, now I saw a great picture of her and John Wayne. And then I went to the larger images so I could actually show you. And I couldn't find the same one. But here, I'm going to save this picture as, save as a PDF, of course, so I can load it up and show it to you. I'm going to put that over here so I can grab it. This is from that famous scene in the cottage when he first really meets her. He'd seen her before, but he had not met her face to face. And this is the picture of them in the cottage. Hold on, slides. My computer. Upload. Let's go grab this off of my desktop. Put my glasses back on. Man, there it is. Okay, it's loading up, and I'll show you. This is John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara early in the movie, The Quiet Man. And there she is. And there he is. So that's when, remember, he kissed her and she took a swing at him for doing it, and he blocks it. And then she kisses him back before she runs out the door. Oh, yeah. There's the famous line, JP. There'll be no locks or doors between you and I, Mary Kate Danaher, except those in your mercenary little heart. I liked that. Yeah, she was very pretty. So, anyway, yeah, she fought back, JP says, against the Hollywood pervert producers who suggested sexual favors for roles. Yeah, she was big. She was fiery. Her red hair wasn't for nothing. Okay, folks, we're going to take a little break, and we'll come back after this. And with the Captain's Cabin, don't go away. If you have to go, live long and prosper. If you don't have to go, stick around for a few minutes because we're coming back. So we're out for the radio portion of the show. Stay tuned.
The Intrepid Radio Program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent talk.
Hey folks, this is Scotty Roberts, and this is the Intrepid Radio Broadcast. I've been broadcasting for about 20 years now, covering such topics as science, politics, the paranormal, weird science, weird world history, archaeology, and the paranormal. Everything from ghosts to cryptids to creepy things that go bump in the night. So every week I bring you 3 new episodes. Come and join my channel and also be a patron to this site. So see the details below, and we'll see you here.
Are you looking for a really awesome and amazing graphic designer? How about an illustrator or a photographer? This is Rainey Roberts, and I wanted to tell you how you can get my designer, illustrator husband, Scotty Roberts, to work for you on your project. Do you have an awesome self-published book but no cover, or even worse, a cover that really sucks? Do you need a kick-ass logo for your company or some f***ing awesome graphic designs for your ads or website? Then get in touch with my husband for the best f***ing awesome kick-ass design and illustration. He knows his stuff, and he's been at this for more years than I've been alive. Go to ScottAllenRoberts.com. That's Scott with 2 T's, ALANROBERTS.com to take a look at his online portfolio of work, or call 651-468-8115. Now go out and kick some ass with some kick-ass graphic design.
Hi, my dad. So he can take me to Disneyland.
Dave, I love you, brother.
I miss you too.
I miss you too, I heard.
Yep,
Did you guys hear that?
I heard that.
I miss you, Dave. Well, and welcome back to the Captain's Cabin. This is our after show. It's going to be a short one tonight. You don't have to call in, because even if you want to, because I don't want to talk anymore tonight. And I'm done for the day. So I want you to all remember that you can come back here on Friday. We're going to have another show on Friday. Don't know what it is yet. But maybe we'll have Niall then. Maybe we won't. Sorry we missed Niall. Niall, I hope you're well out there and didn't just fall asleep. But I hope you're doing well and you're in good health. And we'll talk soon. So all of you, I want to thank you for being here. And if you would like to support this show, hit the little join button down below. 3 ways you can join. You can go over to my Patreon, patreon.com/ is it Mr. Scotty Roberts or Scotty Roberts? Now I can't remember. Mandela Effect. So you'll find it. There's a link over there. So that's pretty much it. I decided during the ads, I'm just don't want to do any more tonight. So I'm going to take off. I appreciate you being here. Even though we didn't have our guest or the advertised show tonight, we'll do it again and come back on Friday and we'll have a good show. So all of you have a good night. Thank you for giving me your time. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So JP calls in anyway. Look at him sitting there. He's laughing. He's over there smiling. Let's just bring the grinning JP in. How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Doing all right. It's a great Great topic for this evening.
Yes, it was.
I know you aren't wanting to talk too much. But yeah, if anybody ever gets a chance to go to Ireland, go to County Mayo, go to Cong. The town
I go,
is,
that's where I'm going.
yeah, it's incredibly quaint. Pat Cohan's bar is there.
Pat
People
Cohan.
It's pronounced Cohan.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, Michelino Flig. But yeah, they actually have a bar set up in there, and in there they actually have a portion of the dark wood bar that they used in filming.
That's pretty
And
cool.
you can get T-shirts and stuff. I've got pictures on my Facebook. If you look around somewhere in my albums, there's one from the trip to Ireland. There's a picture of me standing out in front of Cohan's bar.
See you, Roger Rabbit.
But
be well, everyone.
yeah, it's a really awesome place to go. You can, if you're really familiar with the movie, you can start to see, if you start, venturing kind of out around the town, the outskirts of the town, things like that, places where they filmed.
I've watched the movie many times.
Oh yeah, no, it's I grew up watching it frequently with my folks, and I eventually owned a copy of it myself before everything went to digital streaming. And
now I show my kids some old movies like that I really enjoy, like Young Frankenstein or Casablanca, or Quiet Man. They're like, do you have to watch this? I'm so bored, because it's not what they're used to. So I got to be in the right mood and have them watch it. So. Yeah,
no, it's but I grew up on all of that.
Yeah.
So it was just, that's the normal cinematic thing. That, and like, the old Blue Star pictures that John Wayne did and stuff before he he ended up
as big a name as he is
with Republic and things like that, and then eventually his own company, Batjack, which is the one that he put together and started doing stuff. Yeah, it's interesting. Quiet Man was part of a basically a contract, I believe, series of movies that he did with John Ford. So that movie, it was that movie, and then the things like She Wore Yellow Ribbon, Fort Apache, all that stuff that he ended up doing with John Ford.
John Ford do the Searchers?
I believe he did. I know
that Steven Spielberg said that he thought that was one of the most perfect movies ever made.
It really is. It's a good movie. It really, and visually for the time too. There are scenes that are just absolutely, blow you away. So much of it was filmed out in those areas around Monument Valley and things like that, which was like the perfect backdrop for so much of that.
I just saw, there's another one filmed around Monument Valley. Kevin Costner's.
Oh yeah, his latest one.
With what the hell? It's his 4 movies he's filmed back to back to back.
Right. Yeah.
And he got so much applause over it. I just watched that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, no, that was a really good one too. I admittedly, I started it at the wrong time of day to get through it in one sitting. Because I was just beat when I started it, but I was like, oh yeah, I really wanted to watch this, and it started, and it's kind of like I'm nodding off, not because it's boring, but because I was just exhausted. And it's a longer movie, so you gotta pay attention with it, but it's a good movie, and all of that stuff out there that they filmed back then. I mean, John Ford had a way of really just capturing, with the wide angle, the vast, environment of that region of the country, and it was absolutely brilliant. So yeah,
worth watching again.
Absolutely. So, all of them are. My dad actually even went out. They were out that way. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I think, at this point, and they stopped in where the fort for She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. They actually went out there and saw that, and so got to see the sign outside the quarters for Nathan Brittle and stuff like that. And actually, one of the first hats that I ever made was for my dad, and it was I was quite proud of it. A rather close approximation of, though not as weathered and soiled, of John Wayne's hat that he wore in She Wore a Yellow Ribbon.
It was a little floppy.
Well, he had the brim was wind
one of those brims
up,
full of cavalry,
right? With the diamond bash and kind of a light 4-point pinch, or I guess 2-point pinch, however you want to put that. But yeah, and I went and found a more modern cavalry officer's cord for the hat cord to put on there for him, just because Dad flew Cobras in the cavalry at one point back in the 70s and going into 80. So, that was kind of, that whole series of movies has been very much a part of my life for a very long time.
Getting into Errol Flynn movies, but I'm not going to be around here that long tonight.
Yeah, right. So,
same kind of thing.
Yeah. Just to wrap up real quick, and then I'll get out of your hair. If any of y'all are following John Penman and Penman's Hats, he does have a thing going on right now on his site. There's a little girl who's going through some medical things and stuff like that, and there's a GoFundMe fundraiser. He's offering up some of his Everyman hats and a couple others that are the finer quality hats for deeply discounted prices if you do donations. I actually jumped on board with that and sent a donation to help the kid out, and then John's gonna send me the hat, one of his Everyman hats, a gray one, open crown, and so I can put in my own bash and pinch, but all I'm paying him is shipping. So really good thing to help out a worthy cause. So if you guys get out there and get a chance,
all right,
figured I'd give it a plug.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, brother, I'm gonna let you go because I'm gonna go.
Sounds good.
You're by yourself.
Yeah.
So, thanks for calling in.
Yep.
We'll see you on Friday.
Sounds good.
Better. All right, everybody. Now we're going to get out of here. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all your time. I appreciate everything that you do for this show. So, everybody, you have a good night. We'll see you on Friday. And until then, live long and prosper.